I somehow doubt they will appreciate the lesson.
Well, there we go. Pretty easy peasy. A little bit better than mediocre run. I can do those better. I messed up my sequencing a couple times, but not too shabby. All right. So for this build, what I did is decide to revisit my Stinger build. Let's not worry about all this stuff floating around here. So this is my old Corrosion Stinger with a few different changes in it. What I decided to do is go full blown 4-piece Blightmonger, just to show that sometimes doing a full equipment set's not really the best way to go. And there are some little glitches in the game. They're not really glitches. They were made that way for a reason, but let me just explain. So here we go with the passives. We've got Void Swarm, increases radius. That's kind of nice. Doesn't really do a whole lot when you're spamming your alt to reset your devices off and on, but it helps out a little. This cloaked is great because we decided to do couple little tricks here to upgrade it to boost up our damage. The third hard point, I forgot again. I could have substituted, like taken one of these off, put them over here to get a better. But we're constantly using devices, so didn't really need that either. And then the 25% this is what makes it a Stinger. Let's make sure I name this thing just call it the right name, all right? So the Stinger. So here we go, Corrosion Stinger. If we go right up into the build, you'll see if you've seen any of my other videos before. I'll just flash these real quick. I won't go over why I did what. There might be a few different things changes people would make, but this is the way I run. The Evolution Swift Flight Vigilante Executioner. Barrage. I went with Rapid on this one. Got a little extra critical hits out of it. Like to reflect. This kind of does help you. It kind of sort of protects you when you go in for those things like the drone carriers, because it's bouncing off and killing the drones while you're taking care of the big baddie. And here we go. These I consider a must because adding the extra destabilization, as far as I know, there's not a limit on destabilization. So these help out all of the weapons and all of the devices, adding more and more destabilization to everything. Corrosion. This is probably something people, what did you use that one for? When you do full-blown 4-piece Blightmonger, down here it says, you get corrosion on everything, and then it increases damage for your secondary weapons. Apparently, the corrosion mine doesn't work with the Blightmonger. So that's kind of a point I'm trying to make here, is that sometimes putting a full Blightmonger set or any other equipment set, sometimes it's better to use two. Like, for instance, I only use 2 tides. I never use 3 or more. Just my own personal preference, especially not on a Vanguard, and because it counteracts and kind of turns off some of its special abilities. Anyway, I'm digressing. This particular one, I just went full-blown Corrosion Blightmonger, and yes, there are better ways to do it. I really would have liked if the damage here would be upped by 50%. But I can kind of see why they didn't do that. And then with this Corrosion Stinger, I'm not even sure if this gets the 4-set bonus. I'm thinking maybe this only works for missiles and rockets. I don't know. Maybe mines aren't included in that because sure doesn't really feel like that. And there are a bunch of different ways to do it, but let me just get done with this to build, but and some variations. This, you might have noticed, yes, I did kind of mess up my sequence a couple times and had to wait for my ult to build up by shooting other things too. But this really, really helps when that happens. What did I put to? Destabilization, and I went with cloak this time. So each time I cloak, this gives extra 10, and this gives extra 10. Plus, you get the 10 destabilized, and then by running a core out here, not a legendary like this one, I can put that another extra 20% corrosion on there. Enough about that. Let's go over here to the shield. This isn't a really good one. 6 and 11. What you want is at least 6 and 12. The range is pretty good, but when I get 6 enemy around me, I'm only really getting 66% chance. And you did see in the video a few times where damage did slip through. Luckily, I survived by the skin of my teeth. Thank you, Entropy. But you really want something that's more, you really want that 12 to get the 72 instead of 66%. These chaos rolled make you nearly invincible, and I'm going to show you something, a little bit of a comparison here in just a little bit. All right, here you notice this is not the best Ragnarok either. 37's okay. I wouldn't really chaos roll that. You'd be wasting. You couldn't get up to 48 chaos roll if you try to start from here. And then this is a little bit of two-edged sword here. When you run this, you can't get 20% on the other stuff. You can't add the different modifiers to this to get 10% cloaked, 10% destabilized, or the 20 on mines, 20 on that, 20 on that. Either way you want to go. So this is just laying it all on corrosion, which, yeah, as you see, it's feasible, but it just seems like there's better ways to build. Here we go, a peripheral. That's my tried and true. I mean, honestly, if I got better at using the teleporter, it'd probably be better off swapping out a Judgment Day here. Okay, well, now I'm getting into variations. Let me just finish. And then here, the Blightmonger, that's to finish off the Blightmonger set. Getting the 10% cloaked here when I'm using the cloak with Entropy, and then just getting all this stuff back. And then, of course, your missile defense system, bump it up your secondaries. I don't have the other 10% here. Here, I'm 15% if it was a TWS. Okay, so now for other ways to do this. Now, things I did do is I ditched this, and I used the Blightmonger Shield instead, but it feels really wimpy once you've been rolling around with one of these, even if it's a chaos rolled one. Just one little hit seems to be enough to knock you out, especially if play it safe's not kicking in. And I use the tactical beam on this. Let's go over here. Oh, no, I didn't. I switched this back and forth. With these bumping back and forth with the perk play it safe, then you really get a lot of armor all the time because Entropy is helping you just to spam that off and on. While we're in the perks here, I don't use close call, too much cheat code. I've said that many times before. This is just reducing the damage when you're boosting, because I'm always boosting, hoping something doesn't slip through, but if it does, it might not one-shot me. I think I did get away with that a couple times. That helped. Play safe, I mentioned. This is just to get that ult immediately back up and running once again if you mess up the sequence. Crit happens, awesome. I like to get extra critical hits. That's my barrage blaster's got the critical hit capabilities extras built in there, that modifier. Exploitation, this particular time we would use EMP also because of that perk, not the perk, but the passive device bonus or the special device bonus. Might as well use the EMP for that. And then of course Symphony Destruction, I always use that, just like all the great big booms. Back to the ship here. Over the special, getting the +1 is really nice. That's kind of why we went with these two. Let's go back to inventory. Variations again. Put this here, and instead of using this, I put a Blightmonger here. There's all kinds of different ways. This one you could, if I put this here, then I got enough Blightmonger. I could chaos roll this, put a chaos roll version in there. I got one on my ship, but I don't have it over here. It's in my main storage. And then once again, if I put this here, swap that out, and I got enough Blightmonger stuff, I could go over here and use the core instead, the Thunder Core, and that helps out quite a bit, keeping everything EMP'd and taking way more damage. And then, yeah, there's just all kinds of different things. If I'm going to use this, might as well use that too. But then at that point, you pretty much just, why not get an EMP Stinger? And quite honestly, after building like this, just going full on hardcore corrosion, I really think the EMP version works better. I mean, I've had times when I've cleared faster with the corrosion version, but EMP, because we're not stuck into this full Blightmonger set, you really are free to make it a lot stronger chaos rolling. Well, let me just show you. I'm going to go ahead and I usually don't do this, but we're going to load and go over by my master EMP. Okay. All my different builds, a lot of times I'll just do different save games so I can have like unlimited builds and loadouts in my different save games, and it's pretty easy for me to keep track of. It's a little bit meticulous, but hey, it helps. You can have as many ships as you want. Here's my old school EMP. Somebody named this like the Death Star Stinger, but just to give you a different type of look, because I didn't go with set bonuses here, I chaos rolled this and got a huge amount more damage here. This I chaos rolled and got that 6 and 14. Still looking for that 7 and 14. Haven't got one yet. And I've chaos rolled a ton, but what's that? That's a ton more. I'll let you do the math on that. And this is chaos roll 2. I do have a 48-1. I left it on my other ship. 46 is great. And by not using corrosion, but you having this slot open, you can do this. Now, I only have 2 pieces here. I could have gone on this. I could have gone cloaking and then put cloaking down here. That's probably a better way to go. I might change this up. So I have 10% cloaking, 10% destabilize. That way it affects everything. But only having 3 different types of weapons, you can put each one on here too. Oh, I didn't. I'd put 10% destabilize. So yeah, a couple changes I noticed here. I could make at 2020. That works pretty good. I think I'm going to go cloaked and destabilized 10-10 instead, and then maybe add critical hit or something else. And then here we got together. We stand fits. Like I said, we don't have to worry about the Blightmonger set, so we just wind up getting an extra 15 going to our mines, and then another. They're being double dosed like the Corrosion Stinger, but getting that extra 15% makes a bit pretty. It's a noticeable change. So if I go over here to this ship, the EMP version, what I would probably, because you don't really need this, I think I'm going to go back and try to get the cloaked 5 seconds after the ult or whatever it is. Yeah, I think it's 5, so that we can re-roll these and put a cloak in here. Don't really need that. Probably gonna ditch that. So there are some improvements I can make here. I know it's a lot of information to take down. I'm gonna try to write some of that up in the description, so you might want to go back and read that. But there you go. That's kind of my Corrosion Stinger versus the EMP Stinger, and this was supposed to be mainly about the corrosion version, but just talking and thinking while I'm doing the video, I'm honestly thinking I'm honestly thinking that the EMP I like better. Yeah. So there you have it. I would strongly recommend not using a full set, changing this up, a lot of different variations. If you need something to help you survive longer, then the EMP is way more survivable, because you can chaos roll this. And if you want to do damage faster, well, you can throw in a Judgment Day here and then put this over here, and you'll probably have pretty close to a speed runner there. You could even put, I don't know, 2 Judgment Days and a teleporter here, and then TSW there, and just abandon the, what do you call it, the Blightmonger, have only 2 pieces or maybe 3. Yeah, there's many different ways to do that. And like I said, this is not the best route to go. I think for the most part, this is kind of nice to have and play every now and then for fun. But I'm going to stick more with my EMP one. All right. I know there's people going to not agree with me out there. That's fine. Do things your own way. Have fun, whichever you see fit. And, post videos. Give me some ideas. I'd love to see them. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Until next time.